Hello everybody and welcome back to another Oscar prediction video, where today I will be taking a look at the category of Best Actress. So this is the final acting category that I'm doing a video on, and it is definitely the hardest one to predict, because the person who has the most precursors has a lot of strikes against them. So this is certainly one that's been debated a lot. It is arguably the hardest Oscar category to call. I still think there's one or two that might be a bit trickier. Because I've mulled this over for a long time, and I think I know what I'm going to go with, but this might be one where you have to toss a coin. It's really, really, really close. Fifth most likely to win is Carla Sofia Gascon for Emilia Perez. Oh boy. So, Carla Sofia Gascon is probably the most distant number 5 I have ever seen in any Oscar category ever. And like if the Oscars allowed write-in votes, Gascon would come in 6th behind Marianne Jean-Baptiste. That's how far back she is. And it is a real shame because the fact that she is the first openly transgender acting nominee should be a really big deal, especially in this current year, this current political climate where trans rights are in very real danger. This should be a really great news story that Gascon got this nomination. But no one is happy about the situation. No one is rooting for it. Even the members of the trans community are not rooting for her because she's not nice. The stuff that she said in her old tweets that have been uncovered are really indefensible. And so it's really hard to be happy for her. And you can see that even though the movie is still win competitive in certain categories, such as Best Supporting Actress, Gascon is the reason why this movie is no longer win competitive in Best Picture like it once was. And you could feel it at the SAG Awards when they had just Saldana and Gomez come out and present the movie, when usually it's all the main stars. The fact that she wasn't there, you could feel it. And even in the clip that they showed, the clip package, they edited around Gascon as much as they possibly could. And then when they announced Best Actress, and they announced the nominees for Best Actress, Pamela Anderson, yay! Cynthia Erivo, yay! Carla Sofia Gascon, crickets. Like, it was dead silent in that room. So congratulations, Gascon. You might just become the first ever Oscar nominee to receive 0 votes. Fourth most likely to win is Cynthia Erivo for Wicked. So this is a nomination I'm really, really excited about. To be perfectly honest, she might be my vote in this category. She's really, really incredible in this role. And just like Ariana Grande, this is a role that so many people fan casted over the years, because it took 20 years to make this movie, and we were all like, who's it going to be? Who's going to be Elphaba? Is it going to be Anne Hathaway? Is it going to be Lea Michele? Thank God we avoided that. But Cynthia Erivo was definitely the correct choice. I mean, I don't want to just make it about this, but it is kind of insane how we all underestimated the importance of having a woman of color play Elphaba, because that really changes how we view the character. When Elphaba is judged because of her skin color, so many stage Elphabas play it like they're upset at the world, and Erivo plays it like she's used to it, which really adds a lot to her character and how she starts to feel hope, but ultimately it all comes crashing down on her. And it's not just the skin color, it's also what Erivo as a performer brings to it, because she is such a unique performer. Like, she has this almost otherworldly feel to her, this ethereal beauty. And it's hard to really put into words, but her Elphaba really feels so special and so one of a kind. No one on stage can duplicate it. And just like Ariana, they definitely got the right person for this role. Now, but also, just like Ariana, all of the best, juiciest acting parts come in the second half of the story, which we're going to get next year. The same way I'm looking forward to seeing Ariana performing Thank Goodness, I'm really looking forward to seeing Cynthia perform No Good Deed. And I think there is a certain element of, okay, well, let's see what you do next year, and then maybe we'll give you the win. Erivo does not have any significant precursors, even though it is a very, very good performance, and I do really love what she's doing. The fact that she even got nominated for what is a blockbuster leading role, those so rarely get nominated. So I don't think that she's in any realistic shot to win, although she's certainly miles ahead of Gascon. Third most likely to win is Fernanda Torres for I'm Still Here. Okay, so I can already see some of you guys in the YouTube comment section being mad at me, so I want to clarify something. I do think this is a possible scenario for the win. Torres clearly has a lot of fans behind her. The movie is clearly very loved. She won a major precursor, the Golden Globe for Best Actress in a Drama, and it was that win that propelled the movie into a surprise Best Picture nomination. Now, I know that this movie and this performance have a lot of fans behind them, and I have seen the anonymous Oscar ballots, some of whom are suggesting that Torres is gaining a lot of traction because the movie is one of the last things that a lot of voters are watching. But with that said, some of the speculation that I've seen regarding Torres reminds me a lot of what happened a few years ago with Penelope Cruz for Parallel Mothers. I saw so many people switching their predictions to her last minute because they were like, oh, the anonymous Oscar ballots are saying that she's a real threat and it's the international voters of the Academy, they're going to vote for her. But not everyone who's international is going to go for the performance that's not in English. And I do think that while Torres is clearly very loved and clearly has a lot of respect, and to be fair, the fact that she was not nominated against the top two in this category means that you can make a reasonable argument that, well, we don't know how she would perform if she was nominated against them. But at the same time, the fact that she wasn't nominated for any of those and the film did not do very well at BAFTAs, it's really hard to say because I'm Still Here is such a late-breaking contender that doesn't have a ton of precursor nominations, and even the few wins it has for international feature, it's lost most of those to Emilia Perez. Now, I do think the fandom and the sudden urge of support for this movie is going to get the movie over the finish line in international feature, but I do think that Best Actress might be a little too difficult. Now, if this top category were a lot more split, say if it was one of those situations where a different actress was winning in every precursor, then I could see Torres coming up the middle. But I do think there are two actresses who are very far ahead of the race. I do think a Torres win is possible, but as of right now, I would say it's unlikely. Second most likely to win is Mikey Madison for Anora. Okay, so I've thought this one over a really, really long time, and I've seen so many people really, really torn on this, saying that it is a 50-50 choice. So Madison, she only has one of the four major precursors. She has the BAFTA, but if you're going to have one of the major precursors, BAFTA is a really, really good one to have. It's arguably the most important one. And it certainly doesn't hurt that Madison has the lion's share of regional critics' prizes, although that doesn't always necessarily help in situations like these. I think the big thing that Madison has going for her is that her movie is the runaway favorite to win Best Picture, which usually always helps lead actors. Not always. We've seen sometimes with Michael Keaton in Birdman. It's still shocking that he couldn't win for that. Chiwetel Ejiofor for 12 Years a Slave, or if you want to go for female contenders, we have Sally Hawkins in Shape of Water, or Renee Zellweger in Chicago. Just because the movie is in Best Picture doesn't necessarily mean that it's automatically going to get the lead actor or actress into an Oscar acting win. But again, it doesn't necessarily hurt. And the stats do support that this could happen. The biggest strike against Madison that I've always held is that she is so young and so relatively new. And it really has been a while since the Oscars have awarded a young ingenue in this category. It used to be a lot more frequent, but if we just look at, say, the 2010s, Jennifer Lawrence kind of fits this mold, but she was a previous Oscar nominee, and she had a very big blockbuster that same year, so she was a much more of a mainstream star. Emma Stone had already, again, a previous Oscar nominee, and she, again, was doing a lot more mainstream work. The public really knew who she was. Brie Larson is maybe the closest comparison, but I think with Larson, she swept all the major precursors, and Madison really hasn't. Madison, she just feels too new. And when I posted about this on social media, I got a lot of pushback. People were like, oh, she's not new. She's been in the industry for a long time. Like, I know that she was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but she played a very small role in that. And I think a lot of people probably didn't take notice of her right away. It was her role in Scream 5 that was arguably the bigger breakout for her, but how many Oscar voters do you think have seen that movie? I think for the majority of voters, this movie is the first time that people are hearing the name Mikey Madison, and the first time that people are really taking notice of her. And I think it can happen. But the same way we talk about Best Director with Brady Corbet versus Sean Baker, in that instance, Corbet just feels so new on the scene, and Sean Baker has been in the industry a while. Also in Best Supporting Actress, Ariana Grande, while she's certainly a big star, this is her first big movie role, versus Zoe Saldana has been in the industry a while. And so we're seeing a couple of these races where it's the person who's relatively new on the scene versus the person who's paid their dues in the industry. And the trend that I'm seeing is that voters are going to go for the person who's paid their dues. And so my predicted winner for this category is Demi Moore for The Substance. So I want to clarify that this is not an easy bet to call. This is really, really hard. And when I actually rewatched the movie today, and it's a very, very good film, but I was struck by the fact that Moore's performance would be such an atypical winner in this category. Not just because of the genre of the movie, but because there's not a lot of dialogue in the film. So much of the performance is reactionary, it is silent, and she shares so much of her character's arc with Margaret Qualley. And I initially thought that the biggest strike against Demi Moore is the fact that she's not in the final 20 minutes of the movie, but actually, given the way some Oscar voters reacted to those final 20 minutes, it may actually help Demi Moore that she's not a part of that. So here's the thing. Demi Moore has 3 major precursors: Golden Globe, Critics' Choice, and SAG. Mikey Madison only has BAFTA. In the history of all 4 precursors existing, there have only been 3 instances where a performer who won 3 of the precursors lost to a performer who only had 1 precursor. Only 3 instances. And one of those has a giant asterisk next to it because it was Kate Winslet winning supporting actress precursors for The Reader when she was eventually she won the Oscar for lead. So I don't know if I really count that. The other 2 examples are Eddie Murphy in Dreamgirls losing to Alan Arkin, and Chadwick Boseman in Ma Rainey losing to Anthony Hopkins. So what both of those have in common is that they're both actors from non-Best Picture nominees losing to someone in a Best Picture nominee. Also, not for nothing, but in all of those cases, and the Kate Winslet case, the person who eventually won, the one precursor that they had, was BAFTA. So there are signs that this can happen for Mikey Madison. There are definitely signs that Madison could be that rare person who pulls off this upset, but it would be an upset because 3 major industry wins is hard to ignore, and Demi Moore has the career narrative behind her. And I was torn about this for a while, but all of Moore's speeches at the precursors, especially her Golden Globe speech, have been so good. And it's really highlighted her narrative. The fact that this is an actress who's been in the industry, kind of like Zoe Saldana. She's been in the industry for a long time and she's been beloved for a long time, but she's never really had a movie role like this that voters can really reward. And, okay, this is the thing I posted that got some controversy attached to it, but given the themes of The Substance, how would it feel to see Demi Moore lose Best Actress to a hot young 20-something who just showed up out of the blue and is playing a sex worker. It would validate what the movie is saying about about what Hollywood rewards in younger women. And I just don't think the Academy is going to do that. And it is a very, very close race. And Madison, she definitely has a lot of critic support. And I also can't deny the fact that some of my arguments towards Moore and against Madison might have something to do with the fact that I was not a very big fan of that movie and performance the way so many other people were. And yet, when I'm trying to look at this race as unbiased and objectively as possible, it is very, very close. But my gut is telling me to go with Demi Moore. It's going to be an atypical win, but I think it's going to happen. So thank you very much for watching this video, and tune in tomorrow when I will be taking a look at the category of Best Original Screenplay. See you then.